amazing what happens at the last minute when you're looking to share and to expose. That's not a challenge for me. We will get what we need to get. So I will just ask my daughter Nyla to open up that WhatsApp chat file that I sent you as a security measure. Open it, put it on your phone, because I will require that when we get to, oh, that's it right there. Isn't she awesome? That's it for my daughter Nyla. My princesses. I don't have to ask for that anymore because she just gave me it. Absolutely awesome. Let me tell you that once upon a time I argued with her and I thought I was arguing with myself. And I lost. She's mine. Nara's here too. My sons are with me in spirit. Let's get to the 15th of August. There you go. So I've got what I need here. I've got one, and I've got two. Ladies and gentlemen, what I have here in my hand is going to show you a real example of freedom of speech in this country. But first of all, we pay respect to the presence of the legacy and the honor of the Right Excellent Errol Walton Barrow, National Hero of Barbados, the father of independence as we stand in Independence Square.
Statue want cleaning, they need a cleaning.
I had a song that said, don't get me wrong, excuse me, you've got to be quiet for this one. In respect, you've got to be quiet for this one. I haven't come here to joke today. This is serious business. I'm not in the business of entertaining today. There'll be plenty of time for that after 2 o'clock when we finish. There'll be plenty of debate. It's time to divulge. I wrote a song which said, don't get me wrong, I love Mia, Owen, and Tom, Marie St. John, Freudel, and David Thompson. I love Sandy also, but I want the world to know the greatest Prime Minister is Errol Walton. You know, they told me the song came at the wrong time. I don't know how a national hero of Barbados and the father of independence could ever be the wrong time. If not, the Right Excellent Errol Walton Barrow, we would not enjoy a lot of the privileges that we enjoy today. And I thank the government of Barbados, the opposition, the loyal opposition, all persons who made a contribution in any way to allow us to gather today. You cannot talk about freedom of speech and not have the freedom of assembly to say what has to be said. Freedom of speech is not only the opportunity to speak, but the opportunity and the right to speak about that which deserves to be spoken about. God has not given me a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of a sound mind. No weapon formed against me shall prosper, and any tongue that rises up against me in judgment, I shall condemn. For the weapons of my warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God for the pulling down of strongholds. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, principalities and powers. 1 Peter 5:8 says, your enemy prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking that which he may devour. Give thanks to the Holy Spirit for remembrance. And even in my life, as I may have moved away from where I should be, the Holy Spirit continues to dwell in me and to guide me and advise me. And I give God the glory, the honor, and the praise for the boldness and the power, the accuracy to share today. I'm going to take you chronologically and bring you to November the 7th. That's why I asked for at least 60 minutes. I haven't come to make jokes. I haven't come to commentate on what I read. What I read will say everything that needs to be said. But it won't be my opinion. It won't be my words. It will be their words as well. So if based upon what I read in the newspaper, online and heard on radio, there is a tendency to forget, or they did not know, well, right now, at this time, in this place, I have the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Just one bottle of water and I'll be fine. Just a warm one, please, because this is going to take some reading. I came to Barbados in 1985. Born in Germany in 1971. Touched the stage for the first time in 1981. Came to Barbados on February the 23rd. It was a Saturday, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, on BA 254 at Bradley Adams International Airport. My father and my brother, Rupert Clarke. My father, Ronnie Clarke the first. I went to Condamere School in 1985. I touched stage for the first time at Barbados on Friday, July the 19th at 7 p.m. at Farley Hill National Park. Me and my cousin Andy Hines, aka the Electro Funk Masters. We were the first act at the National Youth Concert produced by the National Cultural Foundation. From 1985 for the next 11 years, it doesn't matter who says otherwise, I was the #1 rapper in the country, and by extension one of the toughest rappers in the Caribbean. I opened concerts for Gregory Isaacs, Dennis Brown, MC Hammer, Aswad, Black Box, so many regional and local presentations, every venue across the country. That's a matter of established fact and record. I joined the Calypso community in 2004. I did a survey promotion for Starcom Network, celebrating the success of the company, with the promo sung by the mighty Survey. The late Carl Scott, he was the MC, he called me back in the promo, and I came back and did an encore verse in the promo. Peter Boyce of Mag was sitting in the foyer, and he said, Ronnie, you should consider doing a Calypso. He wasn't the first person to tell me, but he told me that particular promotion says you should be doing a Calypso. Let me backtrack. 1989. I could have gone to Loughborough. I could have gone to Cologne, in Germany. I could have gone to the University of the West Indies. But I didn't. I had to work. At my A-levels, I had offers. I applied for radio opportunities, 3 occasions at Starcom Network, 3 occasions at Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation. I was rejected 6 times. On one occasion, I lost to Terry Mills. And I said, you know what? You can lose to Terry Mills. That's okay. Terry Mills was going to be one of the finest broadcasters Barbados has produced. He died tragically in his 40s. Somewhere in the region of 2008, after the World Cup. I was working at Hansel. I was a salesman, I sold wine. So my first job was in the supermarket as a checkout boy, with A-levels and university offers. Then I became a shop assistant. I had a habit of testing every 10th orange for consistency. In every 5th grade. And I was good at testing. And through the diligence of people like Richard Goddard and Jimmy Worm, Ronald Licorice, Gela Facili and Jackie Peterson, I came through a very hard-working time in my life. Because my mum got Rupert and myself a job at the checkout for summer vacation in 1988. When I left school in 89, that was my first job. And then after working as a shop assistant, I specialised in fruit. I tested the veg too, in case somebody didn't come to work. I got the offer to work at Angelina's. I became a merchandiser. And within 6 months, I became a salesman for Gallo Wine. And they gave me a company car at the age of 20, fully maintained, because they insisted that their representative had to be mobile. I rose through the ranks. I was the youngest member of the Total Quality Board at the age of 19. My interest as a member was for the basic things for my colleagues. Toilet seats, toilet doors, clean toilet walls, toilet paper in the toilets, those type of things. I left in 1995. I was newly married in March 28th. It was a Tuesday, 10 o'clock at Abundant Life Assembly. The officiating pastor was the Reverend Paul Hynam. I remember it faintly. My best man was home sleeping. Rupert became my best man. But I was passed over for a promotion. And I felt I should have had the promotion. So I resigned without a job. But I felt that if I believe God is faithful, and I believe God is Jehovah Jireh, and His grace will be sufficient for me, that He will make a way for me. The Admiral International was my mentor and manager when I was rapping. And he knew of my interest in radio. He consistently pushed for opportunities for me. And the late great John Barry invited me into the studio each school night to learn from him. And when I resigned in September 1995, I had 21 days left on my 30 days notice. David Ellis called me to say, we have a 3-month apprenticeship for you with no pay. Are you willing to take it? You must remember there weren't many stations then. And the best were on VOB 92.9 and Yes 10.4. I said, I'll take it. He said, when did you start? I said, I'll start tonight. I'll come in with the Admiral. Admiral will assign me to whoever's there. Steve Blackett, Gregston Sealing, Leroy the Joyce is it. We'll catch the last bus from Oistins, get put off here, walk across there, sleep in Studio 3 until 5 o'clock in the morning to watch the Admiral or Steve Blackett do the morning show, nipping in to hear the great Leroy the Joyce assisted. That's the instrumental music. It's called The Happy Feeling by Gert Kampfer. As it transpired, on my first available day after the day of leave, I was hired with a contract. I was the understudy of the Admiral International. It was $100 less than what I left, and it came with no car. And at that time I lived at the bottom of Lower Carter's Gap, Atlantic Shore side. If you know Christchurch, the vans pass at the top of the gap. My son at that time, he was 2 years old, and he felt like he was 50 pounds. Ronnie Jr., Ronald Leon Harvey Clarke IV. One day I got a call from David Ellis. The Admiral's in St. Lucia, he won't make it. The Friday afternoon shift is yours. Friday afternoon on 790 VOB was bed lounge. Followed Patrick Gollop in the morning, Lorraine Henry in the mid-morning. Brass Tacks was only 90 minutes. It went from 11:30 to 1 o'clock in the afternoon. You had no computer automation, you had carts. You had records, cassettes. CDs were part of the format, but they weren't the overriding part. The preparation had to be on point. Ian Warren was part of the team. Dennis Johnson had been there for 1 year. Amy Clean, Christine Bourne, Yvette Harris, Lizzie Borky Roach, Jeff Harris. Michael the Iceman Straker was a rookie. Paul Mears was a rookie. The great Erskine Sporting Kingdom King, Annette Beckett, Ralph Richards, Teddy Strawn, Alfred Pragnell, Carson Small, Olga Loeb Seal, Professor Stan Reed, Elombe Motley, Dennis Tull, Tony O'Day, Thomas on Thursday, Canon Andrew Hatch. I don't need paper to tell you this. I don't need a computer to tell you this. But out of the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks. That's what it meant to me. So, I left for the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation in 1998, February. Wayne Canada was my program manager. Melba Smith, my general manager. Diane Fort, my supervisor. Gary Bowen and Yolanda Yard, two of my colleagues. Two of the new Eastmans. And the ever-present Admiral International, top celebrity. Peter Wilkinson was a senior announcer. Larry Mears was there at that time. And I had the benefit of possibly the best library in the Caribbean for creating. CBC Library. I remember all the names, but I think Angela was one, Faye was one, Harriet, that's the trio right there. I did some television. All this time I hadn't done Calypso, remember that. We go from 1998 to the year 2000. The year 2000, I get a call from Patrick Gollop while I'm in the studio on CBC 900. I started on Liberty 98.1 FM as the morning man. Cindy Rouse and Peter Coppin went in the other direction. But Wayne Canada felt the same purpose and power I had at VOB in the afternoon in the chair and on the air. My talent would be better served on CBC 900. So I made that change. I also made a change life-wise. For the second time, I rededicated my life to Christ. At the same time that the West Indies were playing Australia, that's 1999. Remember Brian Lara's 151 at Kensington Oval? I was in a number 4 band outside Kensington Oval. The match was nearing its climax. I had a shift at the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation. And I decided I was going to work. Ever faithful me. And I missed history. And when I got to work, what was everybody doing? Watching Brian Lara score 151 and waiting for the West Indies. So, I got the call from BG saying, son, because Patrick Gollop, who I call boss, called me son. Remember Vic Fernandez, the general manager, when David Ellis was the program manager making that invitation. He said, son, we have an opportunity for you with the opening of a gospel station on 7:90 AM. Would you like to come home? I intended to say yes in 5 seconds, but I did what every good Christian should do. I said, I'll pray about it. I'll think about it. I'll let you know tomorrow. I said yes. I went back in March 2000. Gospel 7:90 AM. I was responsible for the setup of the station. We opened later because it was originally called Heaven 7:90 AM. Seeing that there might be a floor or two, there are no floors in heaven, and it was called Gospel 7:90 AM would be the better choice. I did the morning show for many years. In fact, in 2002, by that time I had Ronnie Jr., I had Naomi, and I had Nyla. On the 1st of July, my son Raphael was born. I remember saying at Gospel Fest in May, the World Cup is coming up. Nigeria are playing England. These are the off days in the World Cup. The World Cup finishes on the 30th of June. This baby can come on the off days, or the baby can come after the final. Ronaldo scored 2 goals as Brazil defeated Germany 2 goals to 0. 2 o'clock in the morning. My wife at the time, she's standing up against the wall in the hallway of the foyer, and she says, I'm ready. Raphael's head was sticking out towards the ground. She lay in the hallway, no towel. I prayed, I said, Lord, you create the process by which this baby is made, and you'll create the process by which this baby is born. One push, Raphael was out. The cord was intact. A sister, a nurse, came up from Wavell Avenue. We went to the birthing center in Belleville. cut the cord, went to work, and they called Anthony Green. I said, Anthony, my wife just had a baby, I need you to come in, take over the morning shift. Anthony Green came in. He worked for me. He was an announcer. So in 2004, Marcia Weeks, Dave Weeks, 3 years after presenting Walk Holy, which I was a part of, the original band, they created Experience 10, Resigning Experience 10, 2006 All Stars, 2023 Carter Shining Stars. Finals, 2005, Carol Roberts was the MC. 2006 finals, 2007, I sang about Carol Roberts in a song called Wrong Decision. I said the crowd will only hear the mighty Guinness Street. The crowd will only hear Al James and the Guinness Street. The crowd will only hear Carol Roberts and the Guinness Street. 2008, Vic Canale to convince Carol Roberts to come back to the broadcast booth. I was in the Picking Cup finals at Kensington Oval. A song called Owen is the Biggest Loser and The Silent Scream, the abortion song. Carol Roberts was the commentator. Went to the finals in 2011, 2012, 2014, 2022, and this year, 2025. In terms of my work, running at the same time as my Calypso, I became programming assistant in 2004. Patrick Gollop was the boss. In 2007, Patrick Gollop would start a network party company. I became the joint program manager for Gospel 790 AM and Hot 95.3 FM. What a wonderful combination. Dennis Johnson, the great Dennis Johnson. Don't let anybody go. We've got to get a round of applause for Dennis Johnson. He was the joint program manager for Voice of Barbados, and that time he became Love 104.1 FM. He would say, we have a date until 8, or you're mine until 9. But he went from being a brass tacks caller to a moderator. In 2010, it was decided Dennis would become a senior producer. He made a sacrifice, he took a pay cut to be delegated senior producer. I was given the sole responsibility for all 4 stations. There was no challenge to me being in Calypso from 2004 as programming assistant. There was no challenge to me being joint program manager in 2007. There was no challenge or request for me being program manager solely in 2010. The only challenge I experienced was in 2019, a song called Reading for Pleasure, familiarly known as Eric Jerome Dickey, or the Dickey song. Eric Jerome Dickey, an author, sold millions, made a cultural impact in this country, and I sang about him, and him alone. David Ellis did not see the song as being fit. I challenged David Ellis. We went back and forth. I have all the emails here. I won't be reading them today. And as the host of Fireworks, and not the announcer, I felt it necessary for the public to receive a reason why the song was not played. But that song was hidden under the cloak of confidentiality. But the people deserve to hear the truth. I shared the truth. And I was brought before the board of Starcom Network. You have charges of the insubordination, gross misconduct, and serious misconduct, where they can fire you without paying you for your years. They can give you 3 months' salary, which is equivalent to my notice, and let me go. I was reinstated. I did a 60-second apology. Fireworks was finishing for the season at 5:30 on that day. My apology went at 5:29 on the final day of fireworks. There was no issue with my performance at any time. There was no issue when I was at Starcom Network every day during COVID-19. And many of the people that have a lot to say about me today, they were home. There was no issue when I I had to fill in for someone in the afternoon. Ken couldn't make it at night. Carol couldn't make it in the morning. And the producer couldn't make it at 10 o'clock. So I would essentially work 20 hours straight and catch a taxi from Lyndhurst at a cost of $40 to the company, because a shift would be at least $100. So I felt it wouldn't be a problem to take a $40 taxi so I could get 5 hours sleep to come back at 5 in the morning. That wasn't a rare occasion. Even listeners can tell you that that's how I used to work. So it's clear that I've been the announcer as a Calypsonian, separate and distinct from 2004. Carol Roberts would know that by virtue of her different functions: NCF, Starcom, marketing manager, MC. That's clear. She would interact with me as the program manager because she worked for me, even though she reported primarily to David Ellis, which was okay, because there were concepts that they were able to work through. So there was never a sense that on the hundreds of occasions that I appeared on television or radio, that I was never the Calypsonian. I was in the finals 10 times, or 9 times, and 9 times in the semi-finals. And every time I performed at the finals, I performed as the announcer, not the program manager. I don't need to waste much more time. In 2024, I was asked by the National Cultural Foundation to be a part of a panel called 50 for 50. 50 songs by 50 artists who never won a Calypso crown or title with those songs. I was part of a panel, I believe Mark Messiah of the NCF was responsible for the project. The late great Alvin Topping made sure I got the message, and I submitted everything required to complete the project. Carol Roberts and I can be seen on YouTube at the media launch of that Crossover Festival in 2024. Back and forth, good humor, good spirit, as program manager, sharing the details. A few weeks after that, the ceremonial delivery of the last Kings and the opening gala. Who was contacted by Carol Roberts to be the MC for that event? Ronnie Clarke, not the announcer. An accomplished master of ceremonies for decades in this country. I don't need to tell you more than that. If you don't believe it, you don't know the truth. In this very location, I emceed a show which had suites of music, some with original artists, some with youngsters interpreting the songs of the legends who had died. It was bacchanal backstage. The running order was changing every 10 minutes. There were no notes for the segues. Using my experience and my knowledge which God has given me, I ran the show. All the VIPs and the politicians and the NCF officials were over there in the tent, which would be stage left to me. I had the pleasure of introducing my brother Rupi, who my youngest daughter, who is here, Nyla. One day I was washing the dishes, and she said, "Daddy, you're almost famous." I said, "Okay." Without missing a beat, 60 seconds later she said, "Uncle is famous." So, the almost famous introduced the famous for the purpose of crossover. Carol Roberts knew then that I wasn't the announcer on stage. I was emceeing, and it certainly wasn't the program manager on stage. So that distinction would be clear. Crossover 2024. Now we will begin. Crossover 2024, many things were said by the CEO of the NCF about Calypso, about Calypsonians, about what would be on the festival, what would not be on the festival. That's a matter of public record. Every publication, every blog, every platform, including print. Fireworks was on all that time. Who did the NCF connect with to get the NCF CEO on fireworks? The program manager. Her assistant, and I have every text. And I have every text from Carol to me in 2024. Her assistant would make a request when the show was already scheduled. If you know fireworks, it was tightly packed. I was hosting it in 2024 with Chrissy D. Without fail, every request was honored. Artists, tents, contributors, callers would often be inconvenienced, but they understood I needed to get the NCF on. I recognized as an artist, the change got to a point where everything seemed to be revolving around the NCF CEO. And the NCF was becoming the National Carol Festival. Take a note of the date, people. On the 28th of July, 2024, I posted on my private Ronnie Clarke Facebook page, National Carol Festival 2025. That's the same clip that Dave Weeks created for the start of the finals night presentation for he announces National Carol Festival at the Richardstown Amphitheatre on the night of Friday, August 1st, 2025, appearing in position number 6 for the Carter Shining Stars. That is a matter of fact. There were a series of articles, most prominent by Natanga Smith of The Nation. Carol featured in them. Not as the broadcaster, not as the MC, and let me just state, Carol Roberts is one of the finest broadcasters in the Caribbean. There's no question about that. And an erstwhile event planner, and has a passion for culture. She was featured because of the things she was saying and the statements she was making that were of interest to everybody who had a stake in the Crocodile Festival. I received a call from Anthony Green. After Crocodile. It sounded intense. Ronnie, what are you doing? What are you posting? I'm getting all of these messages about what you're posting. I said, I'm posting as a Calypsonian in response to the things that are being said by the NCF CEO. So we have to meet. So we met. On September 17th, we had a discussion. I was informed it was not a disciplinary meeting. It was a discussion. He expressed his concern that the program manager of the company was posting negative comments about the NCF CEO. My response was, having been a Calypsonian since 2004, registered with the National Cultural Foundation to participate in an event since 2018 that Carol Roberts was responsible for, I responded authentically as a Calypsonian to the comments made by the NCF CEO. And I do not regret them, and I do not apologize for them. I received a letter on October 7, 2024. My address, Ronnie Clarke, Department 3, Bagatelle, Thursday. Dear Mr. Clarke, allegation of personal attack on Miss Carol Roberts. Further to our discussion on September 17, 2024, where we discussed the subjective matter, Starcom Network Inc. has launched an investigation into the allegation brought by Miss Roberts. Miss Roberts alleges that she was the target of a personal attack on social media by the program manager of Starcom Network, Ronald Clarke. Ms. Roberts also shared via WhatsApp the insults made via your Facebook page. The purpose of the meeting is to allow you the opportunity to state your version of the matter and to give a statement. Starcom Network Inc. has contracted the services of X&S Consulting Inc. to conduct the investigation. Ms. Sandra Holder will be contacting you to set a time that is mutually convenient. This is not a disciplinary hearing. You are required to make all efforts to attend the meeting and to be cooperative. Your confidentiality in this matter is appreciated. Should you have any queries, do not hesitate to reach out to me. Investigation interview. Ronald Clarke. On Monday, October 14, 2024, I met with Mr. Clarke at the office of Starcom Network Inc. The meeting lasted for approximately 2 hours. The purpose of the meeting was to discuss a complaint by the CEO of the National Cultural Foundation. The complaint was that Mr. Clarke had posted comments on his Facebook page which Ms. Roberts found to be insulting and offensive to her, and by extension, the NCF. Below is a summary of Mr. Clarke's position. Quiet, please. Quiet, please. Do not miss this information. As Rene used to say, for I shall only say this once. At the outset, Mr. Clarke inquired what were the actual offences, as he was uncertain as to the actual accusation or accusations. Mr. Clarke was shown 6 screenshots of postings attributed to his Facebook page. He indicated there was no date on them and there should be. The 6 Facebook posts were National Carol Festival 2025, National Carol Foundation, National Carol Foundation, The Announcer, Bring Back John King, at least he knows about Calypso and not rubbing shoulders, and Fantastic Festival 50, Fet Orgy, failed so miserably, culturally, don't mind the talk, Carol should walk. Mr. Clarke did not deny that he was the author of the posts. He, however, went on to great lengths to explain that the posts were made in his personal capacity as a Calypsonian and a stakeholder of the NCA. He indicated that the comments were made in reference to an article that appeared in The Nation, dated August 17, 2024. Should be noted that snippets of what was printed appeared earlier in social media. Under the caption, in reference to the article that appeared in The Nation, August 17, 2024, under the caption, material not strong enough, says CEO, that was attributed to Ms. Roberts. He went on to say that he had 20 years as a Calypsonian, 43 years as an entertainer. He'd been to the finals 8 times and semi-finals 9 times. He said he finished in the top 5 on multiple occasions. Mr. Clarke alluded to the fact that he has sung about both Ms. Roberts and the NCF previously, as well as other CEOs of the NCF. It is common for him to sing about politicians, public figures, etc. He reiterated that as program manager, he had a good relationship with Ms. Roberts. Evidence of this was provided through several WhatsApp messages exchanged between the two throughout the season. He showed where previously, when she worked at Starcom, he gave Ms. Roberts positive recommendations. Mr. Clarke reiterated that as assistant program manager from 2007 and program manager from 2010, his record operating with the business of the NCF for Starcom is unblemished. You cannot be serious calling me at this time. If you know me and you're my friend, you wouldn't be calling me. He was confident that he was within his right to make comments as a Calypsonian in response to the views and remarks of Ms. Roberts, berating the Calypsonians and the technical debacle that undermined the Pickett Crop finance. He further stated that these comments posted will form part of the Announcers Calypso National Carol Festival in October 2025. When questioned as to whether he believed it was impossible to separate the personal from his professional role, Mr. Clarke was adamant that there was a separation. He believes that as an entertainer and Calypsonian, he has the right to make comments on the festival. He reiterated that each year he enters the festival, and this year was no different. This was evidenced by the registration of his pass for 2024. With reference to the OCM HR 02/13 social media and social networking policy, Mr. Clarke indicated whereas he remembered seeing the email with policy, he has no recollection of having signed off on the document. Mr. Clarke indicated he had consulted with his attorney. He was confident that he was within his rights to make comments as a Calypsonian. He remains resolute that his comments were not made as program manager of Starcom, but were made as a Calypsonian. He has no issues with Carol and sees no reason why they cannot continue to have a professional relationship. Also, he stated it should be noted that having addressed the relevant matters with the post in the immediate time frame, they were left as is and not discussed further by me for any prolonged period. He stated, please note that I reserve the right as a Calypsonian to address this approach by Ms. Roberts publicly should the need arise. I, Ronnie Clarke, have read the above summary of my interview with Ms. Sandra Holder. I am in agreement that it accurately represents my views. Signed, Ronnie Clarke, dated the 22nd of October, 2024. I'm not going to offer commentary on what I read. There's a lot to read. By the time you've heard what I read, you will understand who says what and where they stand. On the 20th of November, I received a letter from Anthony Green. Dear Mr. Clarke, regarding the posting of material under the name Ronnie Clarke on Facebook about Miss Carol Roberts, CEO of the National Cultural Foundation. Further to the investigatory meeting conducted by Sandra Holder of X&S Consulting Inc. regarding the judgment you made concerning the subject matter, this letter outlines our dissatisfaction with your actions. Whereas in the investigative report, it was stated that you believe the postings were made in your capacity as an entertainer Calypsonian, it is virtually impossible to separate you as an entertainer Calypsonian from you as the program manager of Starcom Network. You hold a senior position in the organization, and this makes you an agent for the organization. The posting of the comments on Facebook represents extremely poor judgment on your part as a senior manager. This behavior is not in line with the values and standards of conduct that we uphold at Starcom Network Inc. We find your comments to be inappropriate and unacceptable. Starcom Network Inc. seeks to create a respectful environment for employees, clients, and stakeholders alike. Your behavior not only undermines these efforts, but also jeopardizes the reputation and integrity of our organization. We consider this to be a very serious matter. The conduct cannot be condoned. Moving forward, you are required to always act with the highest level of professionalism. Any further incidents of inappropriate behavior will result in the termination of your employment with Starcom Network. Inappropriate conduct includes, but is not limited to, making direct public announcements about our clients or employees, the violation of general standards of conduct as outlined in the employee handbook, the violation of OCM social media and social networking policy. If you are uncertain about whether an action meets the criteria of inappropriate conduct, you are encouraged to seek my input. You are a valuable member of the organization. Your input is highly regarded. Let us put this matter to rest and move on in the spirit of professionalism and integrity. I remain available to discuss this or any other matter you wish to discuss. Please sign and return the attached copy, acknowledging receipt. I look forward to your fullest cooperation. Yours sincerely, Anthony Green, General Manager. Now pay attention. It is copied to the Group Human Resources Manager, who is Margaret Husbands. It is copied to the Group CEO, who is Noel Wood. Remember those names. So I received that letter on the 20th of November. When I picked up that letter, Mr. Green was not at Stockholm Network. It was unavailable for me to reach physically. I picked up my phone. The WhatsApp to Anthony Green on the 3rd of December 2024 at 12:56. My name in the conversation is freedom of speech. His name is Anthony. Greetings, Anthony. Belated birthday greetings. I trust your day and travel since has gone well. I received the letter today. So I received the letter on the 3rd of December. And I immediately reached out. And having read it, I am very concerned about the tone and content. Especially in light of special care taken by you to stress there was no disciplinary meeting during the process. I disagree to a large extent with what is contained in the letter. I will respond in a formal matter, with particular exception to the last line of what amounts to a threat of termination following a series of non-disciplinary meetings. My personal capacity as a Calypsonian is well established and separate and distinct from my employment. The facts show my interaction with Ms. Roberts as program manager and by extension the NCF have been exemplary, even as recent as October 2024, which will continue in 2025 God willing. Anthony Green says, "Hi Ron, the above is read and noted. Thank you. Not sure I understand this part here." Freedom of Speech says, "You indicated that our meetings were not disciplinary. Investigation into the matter to ascertain facts. There was no disciplinary meeting or procedure. So the nature of the letter is surprising and disappointing. Most unfortunate." Anthony Green says, "This letter follows investigation. This could be correct." I said the attachment of possible termination cannot be in step with the manner of handling the query. You will need to instigate proper charges and then reach such a decision after a transparent process. It cannot be dealt with in this manner and swept away. Not allowing the evidence to be heard in a proper setting and with representation for me, it is a very dark day. The letter as sent needs to be withdrawn. This is a very untidy development." Anthony Green says, "What is in the letter is all part of the process. Any other addressing of this matter also would require the appropriate processing." My response, and I intend to seek the appropriate legal advice. Anthony Green says, "Noted." Freedom of Speech says, "My attorney is fully aware of the issue and will be made aware of the correspondence. This will allow further exploration of my options." Anthony Green says, "NP, no problem." The Freedom of Speech, Ronnie Clarke says, "As I have indicated to you on more than one occasion, I reserve the right to share my views as a Calypsonian on fundamental issues and the freedom to do so." Anthony Green says, "You have stated your disagreement and position from the start, and you are allowed to pursue your options." I said, "It is shocking to see such a poor judgment on my personal and private right outside of Starcom Network. To attribute them in my capacity as program manager is shocking. For Carol to purport such is disappointing, especially as the head of the organization that stages the forum for my art as a citizen, a private individual. And for a media worker to be threatened with dismissal without a proper hearing, that shows a lack of maturity and reason on Starcom's part. In an era where sections of a suspect cybercrime bill hang over Barbadians, we must do much better. My integrity and freedoms are to be protected and defended by me, not expecting others to do so. Without any mention of the facts of performance and dedication, which do not support censure, the client has no example of professional misconduct, especially as conversations and actions show otherwise. I cannot escape the irony of this current state of affairs. It is anti-media worker, and it involves us. Very disappointing. This letter fails to capture the facts and truth of the matter it attempts to resolve. Nevertheless, if open to public discussion of the facts, I am sure the company and Ms. Roberts will be more than willing to defend their positions. I certainly have no problem defending mine, as I have always done. Anthony Green says the letter addresses an issue, you have a perspective in this regard, we all have perspectives. Okay, freedom of speech, that is me, says this is flawed. It ends at 2:55. That was the 3rd of December. This one's interesting. We go to the 6th of December. 3 days after I had that discussion. Time moving quickly, but I think we'll get everything. You may be familiar with this because it was sent on social media.
Ronnie. December?
6th of December. It was a letter that I received.
Roger.
To media, so the files we had amongst the weeks. This is the letter. December the 6th, 3 days after the conversation. December the 6th, 2024. Dear Ronnie, I am delighted to present you the Special Appreciation Award in recognition of your exceptional dedication and unwavering commitment to the success of Starcom Network Inc. Your contributions have consistently gone above and beyond expectations, and your efforts have had a significant impact on the growth and achievements of our company. This award is a small token of my gratitude and admiration for the remarkable dedication you have shown. Once again, thank you for your outstanding service and commitment. Best regards, Anthony Green.
Wonderful.
That was on Friday, the 6th of December. The ceremony at which I received my trophy, my certificate, as well as a breakfast for 3 in Port St. Charles, was on the 8th, the 6th, I beg your pardon. The 8th. It was on the 8th, that's right. At Courtyard by Marriott. The picture It's on Stark on Network site. As long as you go there and see the awards. Anthony Green wearing a very modern shirt, me wearing a modern shirt, two modern shirt wearing men, gripping and grinning, satisfied in the achievement of excellence, as indicated by Mr. Green. Please be aware, there's been a lot of talk about performance. You heard the letters that I read about the queries of Miss Roberts. The final correspondence was a letter that said I was fantastic, brilliant, worthy. So if that's the final letter of the year 2024, you would consider that my performance for the year 2024 was satisfactory at least. There was no performance appraisal of me in 2024, not one. You usually have an appraisal from January to June. That's number one. That will take place after June 30th. The second one will take place in January after July 1st, December 31st. For the record, there was no performance appraisal. My performance appraisal of 2023, as far as I recall, was excellent. So the last performance appraisal on record says I was excellent, above and beyond. This letter is consistent with the performance appraisal of 2023, even if there was none in 2024. And not surprisingly, there wasn't a performance appraisal in 2025. But we'll get there. So, from January 1st, 2025, there was no issue. A single issue that Stark on Network had was Ronnie Clarke, the program manager. No letter, no meeting, nothing. Just work, 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 and more work. I don't have to tell you what station I'm on, what I was doing. I didn't even mention Christmas in October. Even though I'm home for the holidays right now. There was no issue. On the 26th of June, I went to Anthony Green out of courtesy. I indicated to him that the moment has finally arrived. The song which I spoke of since July the 28th, 2024, referenced and documented in the investigative report. The song is here, Carter Shining Stars 2025. It will be performed at All Souls Church in Back Hall on opening night on the 27th. Julianne Seeley, the manager of Carter Shining Stars, she's bought time on Starcom Network's Fireworks program, which was not hosted by me this year, hosted by Dave Smooth, Chrissy D. And she desires of promoting my appearance. I have a verse and a chorus for you. And I sang a verse and a chorus. He said he will correspond with me about that. On the 27th of June, which is the day of the opening of the tent, busy day at Starcom Network for Program Manager, at 4:46 p.m., I sent correspondence to Anthony Green and copied it to Margaret Husbands, the Human Resource Manager, and Noel Wood, the Nation Publishing CEO. It says the subject is follow-up on professional conduct. Dear Ronnie, further to our previous correspondence and our meeting yesterday, I must reiterate the seriousness of the situation regarding your public commentary, particularly where it concerns individuals associated with our clients. Should you choose to continue the controversy referenced last year, especially in a manner that undermines the company's professional relationships, please be advised that we will have no choice but to take formal steps in line with the concerns previously communicated to you. This matter has become a serious concern for the company, and we urge you to give it the full consideration it warrants. At 5:52, I sent correspondence to Anthony Green and copied it to Margaret Husbands and Noel Wood. Greetings, Anthony. In my personal capacity as an entertainer of 42 years and as a competitive calypsonian in the national arena for 20 years, I have performed many songs covering all manner of individuals, groups and topics. This includes Prime Ministers, Cabinet Members, business leaders, public figures and organizations, including the National Cultural Foundation on numerous occasions over 8 appearances in the finals. At no time have I brought the company disrepute with the subject, content and performance of my material. The matter has been handled in my established profile as a calypsonian, separate and distinct from any function as program manager. Any postings as a calypsonian which reveal the content of the song promised almost a year ago and have come to completion show the consistency and the sincerity of my position. Being clear and knowing what is to be shared, which you will see and hear in due time, is in keeping with my right to participate in the national festival and a manner that is appropriate and fair. I am cognizant of the concern the company has, and I have given consideration. The records show there's been no contact between the NCF that has been injurious or harmful to their needs as a client in my tenure as a program manager since being solely appointed in that role. My attorney is aware of all such concerns and previous communication and is fully supportive of my right to participate. It is bigger than singing calypso and points the boundaries, rights, and my freedom of expression as a citizen. As a media practitioner, there are further potential questions which can be asked too. With the current debate on censorship and cybercrime legislation, there is even more intrigue and even more public interest, particularly regarding an individual like me. This matter is important, and we should ensure that fairness and sincerity prevails. I look forward to engaging you in a professional and sincere manner going forward. Yours faithfully, Ronald Clarke. There isn't further contact. The song is performed, as indicated in the finals night presentation, on Friday, June the 27th, 2025, Count of Shining Stars. The song is a massive hit. Opening night is recorded, the video file is distributed across social media, and it is gaining momentum. There is a need to submit a recording. The program manager does not vet the recordings of the announcer. The announcer's recordings are sent to the general manager. Or, as requested, fellow senior managers to weigh in on the announcer's particular offering. On Monday, January 7th, 7:39 p.m., correspondence is sent to Anthony Green, to Billboard Johnson and Barry Wilkinson. Subject, the Announcer National Carol Festival, live at Count of Shining Stars. Greetings, colleagues. Please draw your attention at the appropriate time to the MP3 audio file of National Carol Festival by the announcer. This is a live fed recording of a performance at St. Barnabas Churchyard on Friday, July the 4th, 2023. The lyrics of National Carol Festival are attached in a Word document. The announcer is a member of the Carter's Shining Stars Calypso Tent. He is registered for Picnic Crop and will sing this song for the judges. I look forward to your response and decision. The following day, 21 minutes after 9 o'clock in the morning, Anthony Green writes, but he does not send the correspondence back to my fellow managers, who Who does he send it to? Margaret husbands and noble women. Dear Ronnie, in response to your below request, and as you are aware, this song is relating to a matter that has been the subject of internal concern since last year. You are fully apprised of the company's position. Despite this, you have chosen to pursue your personal interests in a manner that disregards the concerns that have been clearly brought to your attention. Please be reminded that this matter is being treated with the utmost seriousness. Following a review of your previous public commentary and criticisms of our clients, last year, this issue resurfaced on June the 26th, 2025, when you requested permission to perform and broadcast a song entitled National Carol Festival live on air in connection with a promotional segment for the tent with which you are performing. At the time of your request, you indicated that the lyrics and audio would be submitted for review and clearance. However, given the context and potential implications, permission was not granted, as the proposal appeared likely to revive a controversy that remains unresolved. In this regard, please be advised that the song National Carol Festival is not to be featured in any form or fashion on any Starcom network platform. While this matter remains under review, we trust that you will govern yourself accordingly. On the same day at 11:55 in the morning, I respond to Anthony Green. I copy it to Margaret Husbands, no. Greetings, Anthony. I thank you for your swift response to the submission for vetting of National Carol Festival by the announcement of October 2025. I am fully aware of the matter as it surfaced last year and the correspondence and events related to it. As indicated then and now, my post in my private capacity as a well-established Calypsonian in a national competition organized by the National Cultural Foundation during our October Festival clearly remained as distinct from my employment as a program manager. My conduct with the National Cultural Foundation as a client is without spot or blemish in the 15 years I have served in that capacity, with all recorded interaction, written or otherwise, verifying this. As you know, and I submit when called to do so. As has been done on numerous occasions, lyrics, concepts and ideas have been posted a year in advance of the release of the song, which encapsulates such thought and content. There is nothing defamatory or outside of accepted creative and artistic license which I am right to pursue. Public reaction to date will point to that as being understood, digested and supported. I am cognizant of the position I hold in life, privately and professionally, which is reflected in my contribution of 30 years to media, 44 years in entertainment. I reserve the right to address this matter as a Calypsonian and public figure if I deem my interest and freedom to create is compromised by any action that unfairly threatens my welfare. I believe that the action taken is one which dims the light of the company in its coverage of pop over and culture generally, while raising questions about the possible approach being applied elsewhere in different situations. As a very small shareholder, I will not be comfortable with this pursuit, while noting that compromise is not foreign in the corporate world. As I indicated in previous conversation with you, my attorneys are aware of this ongoing engagement and keenly observing developments concerning me and the approach taken towards me. I look forward to experiencing and witnessing with diligence and and discernment going forward. Yours sincerely, Ronald Leon Harvey Clarke. I am asked by the nation on Thursday, July the 10th, en route to visiting the Reliance Media Credit Union, if I would pass and speak to the success of the song and the controversy. I do that. I'm interviewed. It's for an internet Instagram series they have. It's posted. The announcer seeking legal advice. This is the day after, Friday, July the 11th. Trey Graves is the correspondent. Ronnie Clarke is getting a legal opinion on why his Calypso National Carol Festival was silenced on one of the country's leading radio stations. And let me be clear. What I said about legal representation was this. Every person that presents social commentary in this country of a certain standard and addresses particular topics, ideas, and concepts is advised to have good, proper, excellent representation in every aspect, and that will include legal. Before that, Anthony Green is quoted in the Weekend Nation as follows. However, Anthony Green, General Manager at Starcom Network Inc., where the song has been banned, is making it clear that the situation is complex. This is what he's told the public. What I told you is what he told me, and never told anybody else, except Margaret husbands and no one. The matter at hand goes beyond the song. It is a sensitive issue, one that must be handled with due care, in accordance with the appropriate internal processes and management. He said as he defended Starcom's commitment to being a responsible media house. Green explained he could not say much more on the matter, since Clarke was also program manager at the River Road St. Michael broadcasting facility. Quote, I will not comment further out of respect for the principles of proper employer-employee relations. Starcom Network remains firmly committed to its role as an independent and responsible media organization. We continue to lead in providing platforms for public debate, encourage open discourse, critical questions and free expression, whether through speech, song, and is evidenced by our approach to news and current affairs. There's been no deviation from our values or standards in this regard. 9:29 on the morning of Friday, July the 11th. A couple of hours after the Weekend Nation has hit the shelves, and everybody's ready. Anthony Green sends correspondence to me, and he copies it too. Margaret Husbands and Norbert, and Renee Edwards is Executive Secretary. Response to public commentary on internal matter. Dear Ron, it has come to our attention that you have made public statements concerning a matter that is internal to the organization and which involves sensitive issues of employer-employee relations. As a senior member of management, you are well aware of the protocols governing the handling of such matters, including the expectation that concerns be addressed through appropriate internal channels. We take the situation seriously, and your actions raise concerns in relation to your obligations under the company's code of conduct and confidentiality provisions. We therefore request you refrain from further public comment on this matter and instead direct any outstanding concerns through the proper internal procedures. We are committed to resolving internal matters professionally. Please confirm receipt of this correspondence and advise of your willingness to engage through the appropriate channels. Sincerely, Anthony. My response to Anthony Green. Greetings, Anthony. It has come to our attention you make public statements. My response, this is untrue, as it relates to the claim of comments made in any capacity as a program manager in the public domain. Such a claim is simply untrue and continues the ongoing attempt to attach and apply my thoughts, ideas and output in a different role and outlet as a medium to my professional and well-established functioning performing role as program manager. It essentially is a copy of every response that I've offered today. And as I have indicated previously, my legal counsel is aware of all activity initiated since last year and will advise and communicate if and when required. There was no further communication. There was a heads meeting on the 17th of July after I appeared on the Marcia Week show on the 16th of July. I appeared on the Marcia Week show on the 16th of July as the announcer. On the 14th of July, which is the Monday, there was judging night for Parish and staff. I performed, I did well, eventually included in the finals. In the afternoon of the 14th of July, I was called to a performance appraisal meeting with Anthony Green. There was no performance appraisal in 2024. In the category where I normally score 4, the highest mark, he gave me the lowest, which had never happened in all my years of performance appraisal. And he said the events relative to the situation last year, and with the song continuing in his eyes that situation, I could not score higher than the lowest score. I told him it was unethical to introduce for the period of January the 1st, June the 30th, events of last year and the song which is separate and distinct, which he had banned and continued to ban. He disagreed. I disagreed more. Hostile verbal exchanges. I said, as brothers in Christ, we should end the meeting and shake hands. He refused to shake my hand. I left. I had a left work. Went to perform as the announcer. All of that before this hit the paper. So at that meeting on the 17th, the program and the general manager and the human resource manager were late for its 9:30 start. When they returned, this is the day after the Marcia Week show, they said there'll be no further comment on the matter at hand. I was chosen for the finals. I went to the finals. The song was banned for the entire month of July. At a production meeting prior to the finals, I was told by the advertising manager, Wilmore Johnson, that the song was cleared to be broadcast on the night of the finals, which was a sponsored broadcast. There was no communication with backup that represented the Calypsonian, and there was no communication with me, the program manager that oversees the music of the festival. I was told by the advertising manager. The song was performed exceptionally well. The majority of persons who watched it there or watched it online or heard it thought the announcer did very well. The announcer finished there. On the 7th of August, I went back to work. In fact, I worked on the morning of the finals. Well, all the other contestants were home in their bed sleeping and eating and drinking. So I left to perform. I came to Stockholm the morning after the finals to ensure that which was necessary was done. I came on the Sunday, I worked on Kaduma Day, and on Tuesday I got a letter. Dear Mr. Clarke, reference is made to comments made by you on the Marcia Week show televised on YouTube on July 16th. There were 7 comments. Remember, all of these comments were made by me as program manager. They were made as the announcer on the program, and they were not made by me as program manager. I appeared as the announcer. I was invited to a meeting on Wednesday, August 13th at 2:30 p.m. I went to the meeting with my attorney, Alcock. The meeting had to be adjourned. It had to be adjourned for the following reason. This was written by, the time is tight, I've got the bulk in. It was written by Courtney Gibson, the Group Financial Controller. I was asked on Friday, while preparing for work on the weekend, if I could meet with him. I said yes. It's addressed to me, it says, "Dear Mr. Clarke, reference is made to the disciplinary hearing which commenced on August 13, 2025 and was adjourned at the request of your counsel. Due to the unavailability of relevant parties before September 8th, the company considers it legally prudent to reserve its rights in this matter. The letter is to inform you you are suspended from work with pay with immediate effect until this matter is finally determined. The action was not previously taken so as not to upset the balance given your participation in the Calypso competition. However, due to the protracted nature of the adjournment, such action has become unavoidable." Now listen to this part. This is coming on behalf of Starcom Network and the nation. This time it's not Anthony Green or Noel Wood or Margaret Husbands. It says, you are advised that suspension does not constitute disciplinary action and does not imply any assumption you're guilty of any misconduct. And this follows this. This action was not previously taken so as not to upset the balance given your participation in the Calypso competition. So I was the announcer in the Calypso competition. That means I could be the same announcer who was on Marcy Week show. But you delay suspension because I'm in the Calypso competition as the announcer. The meeting resumed on September 23rd. This is a letter from the same Mr. Gibson. It was completed on the 29th. I spoke for 2 hours. They spoke for 10 minutes. I was invited to the delivery of the decision. And that was signed by Noel Wood. At that meeting, he sat in the place of Anthony Green, who was overseas. And it said, we refer to correspondence dated August 7th, 2025, in respect of the disciplinary process which commenced on August 13th. During the course of the disciplinary hearing, you admitted to making the following statements on July 16th, 2025, during the course of the Marcy Week show, which was broadcast on YouTube. Remember, I made them as the announcer. They said I was not the announcer, I was program manager. People say they don't listen to VOD anymore for crop over. We have this fear of addressing what they call the elephant in the room. When you're in an arena, transparency and fact are the expectation of the people that support you, whether they listen to you, whether they spend money with you, whether they work for you. It's hard to be in a situation where you see that is not being delivered. If those views were taken into account, actions that were legitimate and inimical to the standing and relationship of particular persons and entities, I would be gone a long time. So not only opening night was there a call for me to consider. It happened on Monday, but earlier, again and again. All it did was embolden me to get out there. I've said enough to show you that I have come to realize there's no middle ground at this point for them, and their intentions were, possibly still are, to stop me going forward. Because their assessment takes not into account things which are not on the Calypsonian side of the line. The intention was to stop me. How far is too far? And this is the final one. Having lost John Lee, having lost Dennis, having recently lost Alvin, I look around and I see empty spaces in studios, corridors, in production rooms, garages, parking spots, silence where there used to be power and wisdom and activism. If I don't do it, who's going to do it? Like I said, the intention was to stop me. I say that 100% cognizant of why I say that. And if I didn't do it, there would be no National Carol Festival. How far is too far? Has the right to exercise that gift and talent without interference or concerns that has certain border as long as you have a clear understanding as to what you have a right to. We cannot allow our right to be strategically removed. And if those who are supposed to support you, to challenge that, are in line with those who are seeking to take it from you, then you have to go further and don't be afraid. This is determination that it goes on to say it has been concluded that statements 2, 5, and 7 are in breach of policy number 5 of the Policies and Procedures Manual, June 2002. In the statements that were made in relation to Starcom Network Inc. and in a public forum, 2 are false and malicious, and 3, obviously and significantly detrimental to the best interests of the Starcom Network, insofar as they are disparaging, undermine the credibility, and directly attack the integrity of the company. Signed by Noel Wood. Those were the official reasons for firing. A show that I appeared as a calypsonian, which I appeared 2 weeks before on, the same show. And I appeared 2 weeks after on, the same show. The same announcer who was interviewed by Jewel Ford of VOD 92.9 FM on the night of the Calypso Finals. The song National Carol Festival broadcast on VOD 92.9 FM, commentated on by Randy Eastman and main presenter Carol Clarke. Yet I could see and hear words attributed to Anthony Green that it has to do with performance and my role. And it says in the print, it has nothing to do with the song. What you heard today, in their own words, without me commentating on it or embellishing on it, was the song a problem? I didn't hear that. Was the song a problem?
No.
So my Calypso was not a problem for Starcom Network. They said the song was not the reason. But without the song, would there have been a firing? Without the song, would there have been appearance by the announcer on the National Cultural Foundation stage? Without the song, would there have been appearance by the announcer on the Marcio X show? I wish to say to the chairman of Starcom Network, I sincerely hope in my heart that you did not know what I shared today. I hope in my heart, sir, as unfortunate as it may be, that you heard what I shared today in detail for the first time. Because I see nowhere a man of your standing, academic and legal excellence, and recognized professionalism and presence across numerous boards and institutions in this country would validate such a process and such a decision by the general manager of Stockholm Network, by the group CEO of Nation Publishing, and by the human resources manager with responsibility for Stockholm Network. It is clear, as my attorney prepares to take my position as far as it needs to go, that will include the Caribbean Court of Justice. One Caribbean Media is located in Trinidad and Tobago, technically. The Caribbean Court of Justice is located in Trinidad and Tobago. In fact, I believe they're both located in Port of Spain. While it may be ironic, currently, and I speak to subject to correction, Trinidad and Tobago does not have voluntary Caribbean Court of Justice at this point. Be that as it may, I stand, as I come to the close, emboldened by your support, every one of you here, everybody watching, everybody listening. The fight is for everyone. I am not here to be comfortable. I am not here to be popular. Whether you agree or not, God has given me a platform to address this issue with all of the success and all of the knowledge that He has placed me in and given me. I want to say this to Carol Toppin, to Dave Smooth, to Ken Husbands, to Larry Mears, to Maurice Norville, to Oliver Norville, to Gregston City, to Jewel Ford, to Etienne Big Red Fraser, to Stokely Murray, to Michelle Spencer, to Aeneas Charles, to Graham Vaughan, to Scott LaRock and Chrissy Lee, to Danny Biggs, to Tank, to Silk, to Indian, to Chris Gale, to Full Clip, to Mastermind, to Infamous The Voice, to Ricola, to Kofi, to Trey Dan, to Jerry Dan, to Turkey, to Young Turkey, to Marsville, to J Post, to Zeke, in the extremely unlikely event I forgot somebody from programming, to Chantel, to the newsroom, to the advertising, to traffic, to Amy, to Betty, to Margaret, to Veronica. Let me tell you, the Ronnie Clarke that Anthony Green described to the entire world is not the Ronnie Clarke that you know. I love you, I thank you, and I look forward to victory in Jesus' name.